Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel, where we talk all the things about gaming. Today's video is going to be a bit different, as we're going to be discussing the much anticipated game, Cyberpunk 2077. While the game was highly anticipated, it's safe to say that it fell short of many expectations. In this video, we're going to be talking about the 10 things that Cyberpunk 2077 did wrong. Bugs and glitches. The bugs and glitches in Cyberpunk 2077 were numerous and varied. Players reported issues with everything from missing textures to game-breaking crashes. Some players even encountered bugs that prevented them from completing certain quests or processing through the game. Developer CD Projekt Red worked quickly to release patches to address the issues, but some players had already experienced significant frustrations and lost progress due to these bugs. Performance issues. In addition to the bugs and glitches, many players also experienced significant performance issues with Cyberpunk 2077. Even on a high-end gaming PCs, the game struggled to maintain a consistent frame rate, resulting in a choppy gameplay and visual shuttering. This was particularly frustrating for players who had invested in high-end hardware to get the most out of the game. The issues were particularly severe in last-gen consoles like the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, where the game frequently crashed and suffered from low frame rate. Misleading marketing. The marketing for Cyberpunk 2077 was extensive and hyped up the game to unprecedented level. The developers promised a revolutionary experience that would set a new standard for open-world games, with promises of unparalleled graphics, deep RPG mechanics, and a living, breathing world. However, the final product fell short of these promises. Many of the game's most innovative features were either underdeveloped or cut from the final release entirely, leading many players to feel misled. Shallow RPG mechanics. While Cyberpunk 2077 was marketed as an RPG game, its RPG mechanics were disappointingly shallow. Players could customize their characters' stats and abilities, but the game lacked the depth and complexity of the RPG games. Many players felt that the game's choices didn't matter, and the RPG mechanics were ultimately unsatisfying. The skill tree was also relatively small, and the menu of the perks didn't feel impactful or meaningful. Underdeveloped side quests. The main story of Cyberpunk 2077 was engaging, but the game's side quests often felt underdeveloped. Many of the side quests were repetitive, with players tasked with completing similar objectives across different missions. This lack of variety made the game feel less polished than other open-world games, and many players found themselves losing interest in the game's side content. Additionally, some of the side quests were poorly written or lacked interesting characters or storylines. Lack of player choice. Player choice is a crucial aspect of RPG games, but Cyberpunk 2077 fell short in this regard. Many of the choices that players were presented with had a little impact on the overall story, making the game's narrative feel less meaningful. While the game did have multiple endings, many players felt that these endings were ultimately unsatisfying and didn't reflect the choices they had made through the game. Additionally, many of the choices in the game felt forced, as if the developers were trying to steer the player in a certain direction rather than allowing them to make their own decisions. Poor AI. Another issue that affected the game's immersion was the poor AI of the NPCs. The game's AI was often unrealistic, with NPCs behaving in a strange way that broke the immersion. For example, NPCs would often stand idly while the player committed crimes in front of them, or they would run directly into the player's line of the fire during the combat, making it difficult to engage in combat in a meaningful way. Additionally, the police AI was particularly bad, with the police appearing out of the nowhere and spawning in behind the players during the high-speed car crashes. Limited customizations. While Cyberpunk 2077's character creation system was thought as one of the game's standout features, the customization options were ultimately limited. Players had limited options when it came to creating their characters, with only few different hairstyles and facial features to choose from. This lack of variety made it difficult for players to create unique characters that felt like their own. Additionally, the game's customization options for weapons and vehicles were also limited, with only a few different upgrades and modifications available. Lack of content. Despite the game's massive open world, many players felt that Cyberpunk 2077 lacked meaningful content. The game's main story was relatively short, and the side quests were often repetitive and uninspired. Additionally, the game's world felt empty and lifeless at the times, with few meaningful interactions or events taking place. The game lacked the depth and richness of other open-world games, leaving many players feeling unsatisfied with the experience. Crunch culture. Perhaps the most significant issue with Cyberpunk 2077 was the culture of crunch that was prevalent during the game's development. Reports emerged that the CD Projekt Red developers were working incredibly long hours, often 6 days a week, to get the game finished on time. This led to concerns about the toll that crunch culture was taking on the developers and the impact it was having on the quality of the game. While the developers were quick to deny any wrongdoing, the reports raise important questions about the ethics of game development and the toll it takes on the people who make these games. In conclusion, Cyberpunk 2077 was a game with a lot of promises, but ultimately fell short of the expectations that players had for it. From bugs and glitches to underdeveloped features and the lack of content, there were many areas where the game could have been improved. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy our content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.